What's up, everybody? It is Matt from Electric All Wheel, and today we have the Himiway Cruiser High Step with our modifications. We have a stem extender, hydraulic brakes, nice cushy C9 seat with the suspension seat post and necessary shim to get that done. We will leave links for these products in the description below, but today we will be adding an electric all-wheel dual battery discharge balance kit and testing the use of a 52 volt 15 amp hour battery as the second battery for this Himiway Cruiser. As always, Electric All Wheel recommends utilizing the specified voltage of the bike, which is 48 volts, but because we can, we are going to be testing the 52 volt battery as a second battery option. We are going to actually run with the extension cables, Electric All Wheel extension cables, the mount to the rear rack. So we'll put the battery here and strap it down. And then we will take this baby for a test ride, probably to Dunedin, the typical run, and we'll try to max speed. Stick around to the end of the video where we will give you some range calculations utilizing the Mica toll constant, so you don't want to miss that. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out E-Bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your e-bike friends. Here we go. Okay, this is the trickiest part, and somewhere down in here you're going to find your battery to controller connection, and it's going to look like this. You'll see that there are two arrows that connect it, and you're just going to want to disconnect it, and these are your ends. When you do that, you're going to end up with these, and then we're just going to shove them right down through the frame, and they're going to run in line with the seat post as we move it up. But before that, let me just show you how we can make the connection. I'm just going to untangle these wires, and then I'm going to take my electric all-wheel cable set. I'm going to take the opposite end from, this is the controller, so we're just going to take this one, match the arrow faces, and plug it in. Then I'm going to take the XT60 end and then just push it down through that opening in the frame, bringing it between the fender and the seat post. And I'm going to take the other end of the electric all-wheel cable, female, and we're just going to plug that in. This is the battery cable. Perfect. And we're going to take the XT60 in, and then we're just going to run it down there in the same position right down the frame. Now you may have to undo some zip ties when you go to put this back. Just make sure you bunch them together, and it's a good practice to go ahead and bring this together with the zip tie. I like using the slots in the frame, and I'm just going to put this one around it, and it'll capture most everything. Now I'm going to turn this bike back over, and then I'm just going to take it off of the rack. The opportunity now, I can put the battery back on, and then my two cables here, all I can do just to test this is just close the loop, just plug these into one another, and then can actually see if this bike will power up and see if I can get this wheel going. Perfect. We know that works. And so since we know that, let's just go ahead and plug in the balancer. You can't really mess this up, so just plug in the ends that work. There's that. I'm going to plug this one to the inside battery just for my own OCD. we go. And then I'm just gonna rest this in here. I'm not too terribly worried about it right now. Don't want it getting bound up in my wheel, and then we'll take care of fixing it. I'm gonna put it inside on the seat post. I'll just strap it right here in this position, right between the fender and the frame. But let me go ahead and see if I can get this wheel to spin. Perfect. We know the balancer has a good connection, so we are in right now. So when you do your permanent install, you will want to get this in a weatherproof position to your liking. We are doing this for demonstration purposes, so keep that in mind. I will get this mounted, and I have operated with this like this multiple times to much enjoyment, so I'm not terribly worried about it, but I do want to caution you to try and get some weatherproofing that will bring you the peace of mind you need. So right now I'm just kind of looping these cables back. This will stretch all the way up to the top, so you might keep that in mind. And actually what I'll do is demonstrate that instead. So I'm going to unplug these real quick. Get this up. So you can see that it actually does make it, and we could get it in the bag, but I am going to utilize a XT60 extension cable from Electric All Wheel, and then use this so that I can mount the balancer right here. And I'm going to have the balancer sitting like this, so if it does get hit with rain, it will fall down the cables and not into the balancer itself. At this point, I'm just going to put one below the head of this thing, not pull it too tight, but I'm going to use the wires to just get a grip on it, and then I'll put another one around the body in just a minute. Like so. Not too tight. And then I double up for this one. That's just so I can get fully around the body of the balancer and make sure that I capture everything. And then also I want to make sure that I'm not bound up right here with the loop that is frame mounted onto the bike. Perfect. And here I have my second battery connection. I'm going to take my XT60 extension. They come in pairs from Electric All Wheel. I'm going to plug that in. And I will run that up through the frame to the rear rack. Okay. Go ahead and get out my wiring. I'm going to take my XT60 extension that I ran up, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in. And then I'm going to get that tucked into this battery bag. There we go. And from here, I'm just going to strap it in. For this one, I'm going to put these straps around the front two that go down to the frame. There's that. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do, take this battery off. I'm going to take this battery off and then see if I can get some life out of this bike. So we know we have only the 52 volt battery on right now. Let's see if we can get this wheel to spin. There's power. Beautiful. And there we have it. We'll go ahead and plug this back in. All right, we are ready to take this for a test ride. I'm going to get the helmet and the chest cam so you guys can see it. I'm going to have to pop this thing, but I just trust that I fully charge this battery. I'm going to get this on a voltmeter so you can see it. Here's the way this is going to work. The 52 volt is charged to, I think, 58.8 volts. It's going to be right around that range. The 52 volt battery will be at 58.8. The 48 volt battery will be at full charge at 54.6. So the 52 volt battery will come down until it equates to the same voltage of the factory battery, and then they will uniformly discharge to the low voltage cutoff. We're going to take an 8-mile round trip, and we anticipate that we'll barely touch into the factory battery with a high current discharge. So we're going to let you see that. I'm going to see if I can show you the voltage of this battery real quick just for proof, and then I'm going to get geared up and then we'll get out of here. So we are set to voltage. There we go, 58.6. All right, so that's right where I thought it would be. So that's a good marker for this. And then we'll give you a show of where it's at when we get back. Okay, we have reset the trip to 0. I'm super happy I have the suspension seat post. This is one of the best things about this setup is when you have a hardtail like this bike, the suspension seat post takes the cake. Battery is secure. We know that we're running right, so we're just going to take off. So for my height, this is the best setup for me. It allows me to keep my back straight, and then I have the suspension seat post to save my spine. I do like testing the max speed on this just to see, but as we move into populated area, we're gonna have to slow down. So this pedestrian bridge is a 7% incline. I'm gonna try and hit it at full speed. We'll see what the drop off is. I am not pedaling. 25. Looks like it's gonna hold right at the high teens. As we get into the pathway, I can build back up to full speed. But we lost about 8 miles an hour, so take that for what you will. All right, we're halfway. This saying 4.4 miles, which is inaccurate, I believe. It speaks to the diameter setting of the wheel on the bike inside the display. I would fix it, but it's not that terribly off. If we're doing like 10, 20, 30 miles, that's something to consider, and it's worth checking that out if it really means something to you, but it's a good enough idea. When we get back, the total trip distance should be around 9 miles. Segway. This thing is a monster. Look at this thing. Like your ride, bro. End result, it says 8.8 miles. We know we've had some discrepancy there. Not sure if it's this one or the others, but not terribly worried about it. Let me go ahead and get a voltage reading on this thing. 8 miles. We know we ran 20 miles an hour plus the whole way. There's that. So 53.5, which means we just tipped into the factory battery at 54.6, and it's still showing full on the bar meter for the battery capacity. So we are pretty pleased with that. That was a fast run using the top end of this 52 volt battery on the Himiway. Well, there you have it. We have successfully installed a second 52 volt battery on this 48 volt Himiway cruiser. Again, we recommend only utilizing the spec limits of the bike itself, which is 48 volts, but we did have a successful run with this 52 volt battery. Let me go ahead and get you some range calculations utilizing the MagiCycle constant. The factory battery is 48 volts and 17.5 amp hours. So 48 times 17.5 equals 840 watt hours. So go ahead and remember that, 840. And then we have a 52 volt 15 amp hour battery, which brings it to 780 watt hours plus 840 equals 1,620 watt hours. Divide that by 25, which is the MagiCycle constant, which says it's 25 watt hours per mile ridden at 20 miles an hour, and you get 64.8 miles out of this dual battery setup. Remember, you are not restricted to this battery or this location. You can have any battery you want. Just make sure that you have the appropriate specifications for voltage and you know exactly where you want to mount it. On this one, we have actually added bottle cage mount location so we can actually put a down tube battery on here. You can have a bigger amp hour battery if you want. If you've got a nice big basket rack, you can go ahead and put that in there. We will leave a link to the battery in the description below, along with the link for the extension cables and the 40 amp electric all-wheel dual battery discharge balance kit, which has the special cables needed for the Himiway product. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out e-bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida You guys have got to get in there and make the event so that you can ride those e-bikes with your friends. We'll talk to you next time.